You are now locked in to the Sitting Down with the Sisters podcast.
Hi guys! Welcome back to another episode of Sitting Down with the Sisters. We are your hosts. I'm Ayo.
I'm Temi.
And it's me.
I thought you guys were sorry.
No, we weren't.
I'll do that. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Sitting Down with the Sisters. We are your hosts. I'm Temi.
I'm Ayo.
And I'm Ashley.
Hi, sorry, I was just
cool.
eating over there.
Yeah.
In case you didn't notice.
This is a mukbang.
This is a mukbang.
Yeah.
So today, guys,
done.
you've probably seen it in the title, but this is going to be a very interesting one because do you know with most of our topics that we do on air, we never really have conversations about it prior. So I'm so excited to always hear what you guys have to say on camera. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But our topic today is about freedom of speech. So obviously we all know the term freedom of speech and what it is. And we just want to basically discuss whether it's a real concept. So if freedom of speech is a real thing.
And if it's actually allowed.
If it's actually allowed, like are we, you've heard the term, it's a free world, you can do what you want. Is it really a free world?
Exactly.
Can we really do what we want? And we also want to sort of bring in the example, I'd say, of the baby. If you guys are not aware, but the baby's been going through it very recently. Like if you guys were ever going to any festivals with the baby in it, if you haven't check. He's not on the
He's
not in the lineup anymore.
He's cancelled.
There's a reason why he's not in the lineup. So basically, I think there was what was it, Coachella?
Rolling Loud.
So Rolling Loud happened a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And the baby headlined and he was performing. And I think in between sets, he must have said something in the mic that was very stupid and very offensive
ignorant.
to a certain
He made
community.
homophobic and
homophobic and HIV and AIDS comments, basically
Very ignorant.
very ignorant, very
ignorant.
disrespectful as well, very out of place, like very random. You know, it just came out of nowhere. So he made those comments. I don't think we're gonna say exactly what he said. You guys can read up on it.
Yeah.
So he made those comments, and a lot of people have dropped him from the label, from their songs and from their features and from their headlines. So yeah, bringing it back to freedom of speech, we just want to discuss exactly what freedom of speech is and if it's actually allowed. Is freedom a real thing of speech? Do you get it?
Yeah.
What do you think,
girls think?
Ash?
What a great breakdown, first of all.
Yeah.
How I would define freedom of speech is probably just the ability to say whatever you want, whenever you want, with no repercussions and no consequences. That's how I would define it. But obviously, in this day and age, I don't think that really exists anymore, especially with social media and how people are under a microscope and how people are just everything is very overanalyzed. I guess it's a good and bad thing, because people are held accountable. You can't just say anything and think, especially when it's very hateful and ignorant. But then on the negative side is people, I feel like in this day and age, a lot of people are sensitive, and you can literally say the sky is blue and people go, no, it's not, it's grey, and they get angry and they want to cancel
why are you not considering other colours?
Yeah,
Are
exactly.
they not important?
You're colourphobic,
basically.
essentially.
So
I feel like that's the downside of
Yeah.
it. So I don't know. It's a difficult one. What do you guys think?
I don't have like a definition of freedom of speech, but I personally think people's ideas of freedom of speech are very warped, because I think a lot of people misinterpret freedom of speech as a license to say whatever they want, but disguise it as freedom of speech. So I can say I hate you, but because I've got freedom of speech, it's okay. And I don't think that should be okay. I don't know how to explain it.
Can I say something? Can I ask you something? So what you've just said, do you think that term that you just used, the example you've used of I hate you, do you think that's freedom of speech?
No, it's hate speech.
So you think there's a difference between hate speech and
freedom of speech?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Because that's why
does it come under the same category at all, or are they two completely
they're different things?
Two
Because
completely different
that's why when
things.
Ashley was defining freedom of speech as saying no repercussions, I just think I think everything in life has a reaction. So regardless of how you choose to use your words, there is going to be a repercussion to what you say.
So it's basically like there are terms and conditions to freedom of speech.
Of 100, I personally think there should be as well.
But the reason why I said no repercussions is because the actual definition of freedom of speech is that they don't want repercussions.
They don't,
That's
what I hear,
But I just wanted to clarify that before someone tries to.
I just said I think there should be terms and conditions. Actually, I'm not too sure about that. And the reason why is because, for instance, if you're talking religion now, I think there is a push or there is a spirit in operating in the air that wants to silence a lot of people that want to freely practice their religion, for instance.
Absolutely.
And I personally think you shouldn't do that. I don't think you should shut people up because of their religion or because of who they want to love or anything like that. So I personally think there shouldn't be terms and conditions in that regard. Like, I should be able to freely express myself as a Christian and that be it.
Yeah.
Obviously, and this is the thing, Christianity and hate speech shouldn't go together, so I don't even need to make a disclaimer, but if I'm a Christian, I should be able to practice and freely express that. Same with Muslims, same with Jews, same with whoever you are, like, and whoever you want to love and stuff like that, you should be able to freely express that and not be chastised or discriminated against for. So that's more where I stand.
Okay, and I don't want to do you know what? I think with freedom of speech, I don't want to be so literal on the actual term freedom of speech.
Exactly.
I'm trying not to be, but at the same time, it's quite difficult because the actual word is like the actual sentence is freedom of speech. So it's not freedom of speech in religion, and it's not freedom of speech in XYZ, this or do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's just more, I'm just more confused on where the line should be crossed. Like where should we cross the line in freedom of speech? Because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, it's a free world, right?
Right.
But really and truly, is it a free world?
I was going to
Let's use Katie Hopkins, for example. There's loads of things that Katie Hopkins have said, and I'm sure she's offended every sort of group. Like every sort of community in its own self, besides hers, every demographic besides hers, probably, people that maybe are in the Conservative Party. I don't know what party she follows, but she's a very conservative woman. If you know Katie Hopkins, she says a lot of things on socials. Thankfully, she's not on Twitter anymore, but she used to give a lot of hate speech, say a lot of things about lots of different demographics that was very offensive. So with Katie Hopkins, the reason why she lasted that long was because her idea was freedom of speech, and she was able to say these things and get away with it. Same with Piers Morgan and all these other people, right? So like I said, just coming back a bit from that, it's freedom of speech, not freedom of speech in Christianity, not freedom of speech in
any other.
So guys, like, educate me that where do you cross the line? See, and why would you say there's, well, you don't know, to be fair, you took it back, you said there's no terms and conditions, but you do think hate speech and freedom of speech are two different things.
I was even going to touch on something else because I think you've really touched on something really good. Freedom of speech looks different in different countries. So for instance, here in the UK, I actually think we have a lot of freedom of speech because we can literally call Boris anything we want to call him on Twitter and nothing will happen to us. Go to Nigeria,
Twitter will get locked off if you
Twitter's been locked off for a hot minute now in Nigeria because of freedom of speech.
Right, exactly.
Or any other country that's maybe communist or a dictatorship. Freedom of speech looks different. So what you said is really good because freedom of speech cannot have one look. It looks different depending on and even somebody like DaBaby, for instance, he's very outraged about the way people have reacted to his freedom of speech. But the reason he's outraged is because he thinks that hate speech is freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying there is a difference.
He doesn't realise, or maybe he does realise, like I don't like how when these people get not even exposed, but when these people are chastised in the public or whatever, it's almost like we put them on this, they're naive, they don't know. No, they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're saying. That's why he said what he said, and I'm so happy. I'm so surprised for once. Chris Brown came out and was like, what happened to just going on stage, performing, saying hi ladies and gentlemen, good night, performing your songs and getting off?
What you said is so powerful about us pretending that they don't know better and this ignorance and naivety. Do you know what?
He knows exactly what he's saying.
It's even insulting to say that about black, because the things he said, for instance, some people would use the rebuttal that black people say this amongst their social circles. Even if they are, that's wrong.
It's still
wrong. Just because you don't have a large crowd like the baby, but you're still saying it, it's still wrong. Doesn't make it right at all.
And the fact that you make it seem that he's maybe because he's black or because he's a rapper or he does a certain type of music that he doesn't know, that actually is insulting to everybody else that's black, a rapper, and some because
do know
he's
because
just ignorant and he's uneducated.
Yeah, because I'm very sure.
Exactly
like look at Chris Brown. Would say I don't want to say he's in the same sort of caliber as the baby, but let's say he's a rapper or musician.
Yeah,
He's black. He knows better.
He knows better.
Do you get what I mean? So
Exactly.
what do you say about that?
Exactly.
So really and truly, that whole he's not aware. I haven't seen a single person say that, but if there are people out there that are saying that, you know, he didn't know any better. Look at yourself. Take a hard look at yourself and
in
ask
this
yourself.
day and age, you don't know better.
Did he WhatsApp you that?
So what do you actually know?
Did he tell you he didn't know any better? Because you seem like you're gunning for it so much. Like you're so sure he didn't know any better.
And that's the thing that was
How do
shocking.
you not know any better that there are certain things you just shouldn't say? Who should be telling you that? Like
I'm so confused. He did know because he said it with so much conviction and with so much power.
And I just don't understand the apology after, because it's just like, you knew what you were doing.
No, he deleted it though.
I know. I saw
Can
he
you
deleted
imagine?
it.
It wasn't
just
apologies
yesterday.
because when people were outraged, he was still defending himself, saying, "Oh, you guys are fake outrage. Nothing's gonna happen to me." It wasn't until it started affecting his money and it was touching his pockets, where Kanye came out and took him off his feature. All of these shows took him off. That's when he said, "Oh, hold on,
This is real life.
this is affecting my bag."
He's very embarrassing. I'm so sorry to say. I was never a fan of him, but just to really did he really do it to push his name? Did he do it for the publicity? Because some people will argue that there's no such thing as bad publicity, but this is so bad. The baby, it's so unattractive.
It's so bad.
The baby.
The baby.
You're a big baby.
I genuinely think
The baby, you're grown ups, man.
I genuinely think
that.
he was just speaking from, when you come on stage and you're gas, so you just start talking.
Maybe
That's what happened.
Like it's the.
Oh, I still don't.
What do you call it? Like when you're in that sort of environment and then you're post. And
But then the fact that that's something that's so close to your mouth that you can say from your
Exactly.
brain is
Then
problematic.
imagine what's in your head.
I think
problematic.
it's so, and obviously I don't want to focus so much on what he's saying because the overall topic is freedom of speech. But what he said was so ignorant.
Yeah.
So ignorant. It doesn't matter whether you agree with the LGBTQ plus or whatever. It was so ignorant.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the history of AIDS and HIV,
Yep.
in the 80s, 70s or whatever, it was black people were literally frowned upon because HIV was looked like it was a disease directly for gays and for black people. So for that to come from a black man, are you silly?
He's sick, clearly.
Are you silly?
And you know what? Even though he did get the sort of, I don't want to say hate, but he did get the
Cancelled.
he did get the
The
what do you call it? The
backlash.
backlash that he did deserve. And I was just so happy to see certain people like Miley Cyrus coming out, just trying to educate and just giving it a different perspective. Even though honestly, I think it's BS, personally. I think it's BS that, they genuinely believe that he needs educating. Personally, I think Miley Cyrus's PR thought this is a great opportunity.
Really?
Do you know why I say that?
I thought it was sincere.
No,
Sincere, but
I
I
don't
just
think.
thought maybe.
Don't get it twisted. It's not as if I don't think it's sincere. But listen to what we just said previously. How can we think a grown man like that did not know what he was doing?
Right.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
But I get the angle Miley Cyrus and these other people, are trying to come from. Because let's not, if you've not sinned before, cast the first stone. No one's
point,
perfect.
yeah.
I understand that where they're coming from. Let's educate him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just where's the balance? Because it's he knows. So whatever you're going to be telling the baby, it's not something he's not
new
aware of.
information.
It's not something he didn't have in his head before he said that. I don't think that's going to change his opinion. I don't even know if he's going to accept that opportunity. I don't think he's going to change his opinion. If anything, he can pretend he's learned something from it just so he can continue
To
getting
save
his bag and
face,
save his face, which
you're
is
right.
whatever, But my thing is, honestly, it's a thin line because at the end of the day, forgive and move past it. But how can you be so stupid? There's just certain things you don't do. How do I put it? When you know, when you do something, when people do something, you just have to see it as, oh, you really violated, but you're human. Like, these things happen. I honestly cannot see that situation like that.
Because it's deeper.
It's a lot deeper than that.
Because and what you said is, it's not only hateful, but it's hurtful.
It's just
very hurtful.
And you've said it knowing it's going to hurt people. You didn't just say it, you know it's going to hurt people, and you've still gone ahead and said it.
That's why afterwards,
it's just made you a horrible human being. You're just, there's no, oh, you know, he's learning from me. That you're just, you know, sometimes people, like, bad people exist. He just happens to be a horrible person. That's my opinion of it. Well, you know,
I hear that, and do you know what was sad as well? Is the people that sorry, it's a bit spicy. It was the people that. Oh no, I'm good. Okay, thank you. It's the people that co-signed him. There were rappers that came out and were supporting him.
T.I., of course. Who else?
I think Tory Lanez as well.
Look at the caliber of men supporting it. Do you really need an explanation for that, though? Tory Lanez, T.I., you know, those are the people that already have issues of their own. You know, so.
They're all in the same boat.
Do you know what I mean? So there's like, even the baby should look at himself and think, oh,
if
like,
Tory Lanez is supporting them, maybe
if Tory Lanez and T.I. supporting me,
from when Chris Brown came out, that's when you know you are wrong.
The baby brought out Tory Lanez at that same Rolling Loud. Fully, I don't know if he's aware, but there's a restraining order between.
I saw that
Tory
as well, and Megan.
So
and Megan was there as well.
That,
Megan had a feature with him as well, didn't she?
Yeah,
there's an issue that happened between them. They're no longer friends.
I know,
exactly. It's also insensitive. So you can see that he's making poor decisions anyways.
He's just that's why I think he's just not genuinely a nice person. Like, obviously I don't know him personally, I don't hope to meet him, but what I'm saying is, like, from the way he carries himself on social media, from the way really and truly, he doesn't really need to know who I am ever either. Do you get what I mean? But from the person I'm seeing on social media, on the news, I don't think this is the media trying to sabotage his image.
Right.
I think this is him doing it on himself. Do you get it? So things like that.
And that's a good point as well, because people love to, you know, people are jumping on the bandwagon. The media is painting him out to be. The media is not doing anything. The media is already using what is there. There's no smoke without fire.
No one's photoshopped his voice.
Exactly, and even if we
caught him in 4K,
and even if we take it out of the baby situation and make it like just a general thing, it's the same way someone can do something very, very, very wrong, and then people are like, oh, you just want to have a reason to hate them. There's a difference between when you've used your mouth to do hate speech and when people are genuinely hating, and you need to know the difference. Yeah. Because if you're using your platform, using your voice to tear down groups, to tear down people,
hate.
You should get a reckoning.
And your idea behind it is freedom of speech. It just doesn't. That's not freedom of speech.
That's not freedom of speech.
Personally.
It's really not.
So, like I said, I feel like I do have a better understanding of freedom of speech, because I'll be honest, I didn't really differentiate, you know, what you said, the freedom of speech and hate speech. They are two different things, and I think we should be very. They have to be. We should be very aware, and everything comes with, you know, not backlash, but consequences.
Exactly.
So everything comes with unfortunately, that's just life. So whatever you take from that, you know, if you think that's freedom of speech and you can say whatever you want and not expect the consequences, I'm so sorry.
You're gonna have a rude awakening, because let's talk about this as well. Yeah, why is it that as a human being, relating with other human beings, you want to be able to say stuff that you know could potentially harm and hurt people? And why would you want to call that freedom of speech? Like, to me,
that's a good point.
Like, I just think about it like that, because for me, I believe freedom of speech is very useful, especially, for instance, when racial tensions were really high in America, for instance. Freedom of speech was necessary to come against to speak out against injustice. So why are you using it in a counterintuitive way? Yes, you should be able to say your opinions. Like, I personally think people should be allowed to voice their opinions. We have a podcast, for God's sake. Like, of course, voice your opinion.
And sorry, just to say, our podcast, definitely, I'm sure that there are things that we've said on there that some people necessarily don't agree with
at all.
That's fine. At the end of the day, we've never really come on the podcast to intentionally hurt a certain demographic.
Exactly.
You know, that's where the difference
is. Or intentions.
And that's the difference between freedom of speech and hate speech. You're fully aware that what you're saying is discriminatory. You're fully aware that it's wrong. Whether it's racist, whether it's homophobic, whatever it is, xenophobic, it's one of those, you know, it's in there, and you still say it.
We're not talking about just general opinions, because at the end of the day, there are opinions. We know there's some opinions that could offend other demographic. There's perfect example of that was Love Island, when Hugo said he doesn't like fake. I don't think that's freedom of speech.
I'm so sorry.
That is freedom of speech.
Some people could argue, but that's that's basically being, you know, you're being,
No.
you know, a certain way to a certain demographic.
You're hurting people who get plastic surgery, but we didn't hold a gun to you to go and get plastic surgery.
No, and you weren't born like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so sorry.
You know, so I just gave that example just to show the difference between freedom of speech.
The reason why that's not hate speech as well is because I don't even know why I need to break this down, but I'm gonna anyway. The reason why that's not hate speech is because he didn't say Faye, I hate Faye, or I hate Sharon, or I hate. He said I hate fake.
My opinion.
Fake is
fake things.
That's just me. Someone else could like it, but me, I don't want to take it home to me, my mom and dad. That's it.
Exactly. That is the difference.
That's
between
freedom of speech.
So
absolutely. So
that's
let's you know, but when we're online and, you know, tweeting and doing all these things and so quick to gun someone, now let's remember the difference. You know, there is a difference, and I'm glad to learn that today.
Yeah.
And let's be mindful of what comes out of your mouth.
I'm glad you have learned that
actually
today,
think before you speak, because I think that aspect of things is very lost.
Oh.
Now we just have people speaking. There's no thought process up here.
Exactly.
It's lost. It's paused here.
That's what I'm saying. People love to use freedom of speech as a license to just say ridiculous things.
Yeah.
It's not nice.
And that is poor. It's very poor.
decision
Really and
making.
truly,
Yeah.
you're just hiding behind the term freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Really and truly, you're just not a very likable person. And that's just you. That's just what it is.
And that's the final
Or
conclusion.
you're uneducated. Get some educating.
Google's free.
You heard it here first. So please
Thank you so much, guys.
leave in the comments what freedom of speech is to you and how you think it should be policed or not policed. And we will catch you on the flip side.
Yeah, let's leave Aya so she can enjoy her burger.
Yeah.
And don't forget to follow us on Twitter
yeah.
and Instagram, Sdwts podcast.
Yeah, we're
Everywhere.
Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well.
Everywhere.
Subscribe, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Bye.